Not really, but it's not horrible. Supergirl dropped this weekend and is a continuation of James Gunn's DCU. It's the second cinematic project in this brand new DC universe. When I first heard that they were going to reboot the entire DC cinematic universe, with it originally being called the DCEU, safe to say, I was relieved. Relieved in the sense that, you know when it's time to put your dog down because it's very sick and every breath that it takes sounds like a smog engine inside its lungs?
Oh, damn it, he's gonna pee. No, no, no! Nope, just dust.
Yeah, like that. The original DCEU was such a disaster. I don't know if there will ever be a run of bad movies like DC had in the years of our Lord, 2016 through 2017, with Batman v Superman, Suicide Squad, and the Justice League. The only decent movie to come out during that time was Wonder Woman, surprisingly. Back-to-back horrendous movies like those to be released one after another, they were like the Barry Bonds of hitting nothing but 1 out of 10s. It was impressive. Even after all of those stinky movies released, the DCEU just seemed to fizzle out into nothingness. Every movie after Justice League offers nothing to further enhance their original DC universe. They didn't have the one guy to weave all of these stories together, unlike Marvel movies with the prophet that is Kevin Feige. He understood at least that these movies needed to serve a purpose to something, that something being the Avengers. Even if there was the more than occasional bad Marvel movie, at least you'd know that it would eventually come back and pay off watching it, especially early on with the Marvel movies. Each one had a grander purpose, at least they used to, with them now not finding that groove anymore, just throwing random appearances after random appearances with no payoff. I'm looking at you, you sexy One Directioner. Back to the DCU though, I was glad that they finally found someone to oversee all of these projects, with that someone being James Gunn. To me, James Gunn is a perfect choice to be the Kevin Feige of the DCU. He has the eye for the littlest of details, which is great for an overseer, and the evidence is right in his movies. Every movie that he's released shows that he cares tremendously about every little aspect that's in them, from the writing to the soundtrack. It all means something to whatever movie he's working on. Saying all of that, he still needs to prove himself with his brand new DCU, but he's off to a pretty great start. The first movie in this universe being Superman, a film that I thoroughly enjoyed last summer. After finishing that movie, I was pleasantly surprised to hear that the next cinematic project to be released is Supergirl. Cut to 1 whole year later, and here we are. Supergirl, unfortunately, does not come close to living up to its predecessor. It's a dull, drab film that doesn't have nearly as many fun, interesting characters as Superman. Let's start with Kara, Supergirl, played by Millie Alcock. Kara is quite the opposite of her cousin, Clark, in notable ways. Whereas Superman is full of compassion and always believing that there is good in people, no matter what, Kara is more grounded. She's just as powerful as Superman, but we see that she has some emotional wounds that she carries around after leaving Krypton. We see that she has a rough and independent personality throughout the film. It's a nice contrast to Superman, as he's the goody two-shoes and she's the more cynic of the supers. Supergirl is played decently fine, I'd say, by Millie Alcock. Not really the most standout performance like David Cornsweet, but I think she did okay. She tried her best, but I don't think that the script really allowed for her to shine. The script that they gave her was pretty awful, but you can see that she's trying her best to work with it. I see the potential in her. Maybe in the next movie where James Gunn is at the helm, she'll shine, unlike here where she's dimmed out because of the dark side of this script's butt crack. They nerfed Supergirl so much in this movie, partly because of herself, where she goes on red sun planets to drink alcohol, and she doesn't have her superpowers while on them, but also in some kind of stupid ways where they're just poisoning her every 10 seconds with these crypto needles, or in the final act where these aliens drop her off on this green sun planet where she is very vulnerable because of the green sun and on the brink of death. So how is she going to come to the rescue at the end and save the day? Well, this planet also has a yellow sun. It rotates between green and yellow. Oh, I guess that'll work. It just seems lazy. Issues in the writing like this occur constantly in the movie. This movie forgets half of Kara's powers. You guys do know that she has supervision. She can see through anything, so she shouldn't be struggling in finding where anyone is, but she's having a hard time locating anyone in the movie. You'd think that she forgot her super contacts or something.
Stupid contacts.
You can tell that there was some important stuff that was cut out of the movie, such as where the big bad of the film, Krem, just comes by and takes Supergirl's ship just like that. We didn't even see him coming, just one scene and he's in the ship, flying off with it for whatever reason. Moments like this are somewhat prevalent all throughout the movie. The jarring scene of Lobo decapitating someone near the end of the movie, all of it condensed into like 4 frames. I didn't even know what the hell happened. They probably had to cut that out as this is a PG-13 movie, but knowing that, why did they include it? That was just such an odd scene to cut. The story of Supergirl wasn't really the best, but wasn't really the worst either. It's not trying to do anything all too new. Crypto the dog is poisoned by Krem and needs the antidote that he carries around. So Kara and this little girl named Ruthie, whose entire family was murdered by Krem, embark on an adventure to find him and serve some justice, the super style way. The plot is good enough for what it wants to accomplish, which is to explore the adventure that Kara and Ruthie go on. Real quick, if you're enjoying the video, leaving a like and subscribing would mean a lot in growing the channel. Thanks. The movie overall isn't horrible. It has some things to like about it. I enjoyed the planet hopping that they were doing. We go from planet to planet on this fun adventure, meeting all sorts of wacky aliens. The one thing I wish that they did while Supergirl was planet hopping was just to explore more of that planet. They sort of just skimmed over the planet itself. It would have been nice if each planet had some sort of gimmick to it. Like if one planet was full of purple people and everything was purple and everybody eats grapes. I don't know. I'm spitballing here, but something like that. It would have left each planet to have some sort of distinction. You know, really explore each planet. That would have been nice. A missed opportunity in this space adventure. Some planets were kind of boring looking, with the main colors just being rather mute. I would have liked to see some vibrancy in these planets, rather than the dark, grim, colorless ones we saw. Most of the planets that we saw were just very boring looking. Something that wasn't boring looking was the practical effects that they had for the aliens. That was great stuff. They look so good with different designs for each alien. It honestly is something that rivals the aliens from Star Wars. That would make sense as they took an alien from a Star Wars movie and put it into Supergirl. There are some that are as hairy as my balls and others that look as slimy as a snail. Great job to the art department that made them. I'd love to keep one and hang it on my wall. I treat it as if I killed a giant bear and I'm hanging it for honor. But instead of a bear, it's a giant Alf head. Poor guy. The action was solid overall for the movie. It wasn't as fantastic as the action in Superman, but in all fairness, it's gonna be hard to top those action scenes. But they had some fun moments in this movie, particularly in the middle and end, where she's fighting the space pirates on the wormhole bus. They had a unique looking teleporting effect that led to a fun to watch action scene. Also at the end where Kara flies in and wrecks everything in her way, they had some great shots of Supergirl flying. I love how they make them fly in these movies. It genuinely feels like they've taken a GoPro camera and are actually just flying around with it. Jason Momoa did a good job as Lobo. Lobo is an intergalactic bounty hunter who is a prominent anti-hero in the DC comics. He's a cocky, loud son of a bitch who's only in it for the paychecks. Jason Momoa has said in interviews before that he's always wanted to play Lobo, as that character is one of Jason's favorite comic book characters. So it was nice to see him play this character, and the performance that he puts on really shows that he enjoys being Lobo. Even though the writing that they gave the character was smelly, Jason Momoa plays him well enough where I was able to like him in the end, with his captivating charm. He looks like a long-lost member of Kiss. They actually were inspired by Kiss to create his design. Krem, the villain for the film, I bet you didn't even remember his name. I didn't. I just googled it right now, and even Google was struggling to remember his name. He's as one note as a villain could possibly get for a superhero movie. His only purpose is to be evil. We literally don't know a thing about him besides he likes to eat people's leftovers like he's one of the fine residents of LA, and that he kidnaps women. Why does he eat the leftover food and kidnap women? I don't know. They didn't explain it. My guess is just for the lulz. We don't come to learn or even know anything about him. He just shows up with his posse, enacts violence, and leaves. As far as villains go, he's a pretty terrible one. Hopefully those DC lawyers are a call away because they may need them after seeing what he looks like. Something that people are bringing up online is the horrendous song placements that they put these poor songs in. The moment where they put that song at the end montage with Supergirl protecting Ruthie was just awful. It came across very cringy and just unnecessary. There was no need to put any song there, yet they did, and that entire scene is botched because of it. This goes for the whole movie. Supergirl is trying its hardest to be punk rock. Putting in these songs where they don't belong, it just comes across as too try-hardy, something that punk rock is not supposed to be. They were trying their hardest to be like a James Gunn movie with adding all of these songs in, but a majority of them just missed the mark tremendously. Never let a song do the talking in these key moments of a story. Let the scene or soundtrack of the movie do the heavy lifting, because if not, you just end up in the situation that Supergirl has found itself in, a cringy moment that could have easily been fixed. Supergirl is really just a super disappointment. It's a shame as they were moving in the right direction with Superman, but this movie just lost its footing along the way. I personally wouldn't want to revisit it again, and I think that there are many things to learn from this movie going forward for the DCU. But I haven't given up hope for the DCU just because of one mid movie, and I don't think you should too, especially one that is nowhere near as terrible as the bottom of the bottom DC movies, Suicide Squad. Here's hoping that the next DCU movie finds this universe's stride again with Clayface. I'll be there when it drops, so don't worry your pretty little faces. If you want to watch the reviews for movies that came out this year, click right here as I go through the recent movies that dropped this year. It's a hoot. Let me know what your thoughts are on Supergirl in the comments below. Thanks for watching, peace out, and have fun.